seems that things are getting pretty busy at the moment with Marvel's Avengers. We had 2 videos out yesterday for the most recent update. One was talking about the patch notes, one was just an overview of the Tachyon Rifts and showing off some pretty awesome gear I got within them. But today we actually have a state of the game blog. It only went up around about 15 minutes or so, but I was lucky enough to actually be online when it went up. So what I'm going to do in this video is we'll break down the blog. Now normally what I do is I read the blog first, and then I'll do the video, but for something a bit different I'm actually going to read the blog live here, so it means my opinions on the blog may change as the video actually goes on as well, but it'll hopefully make it a bit more interesting. But let's jump in and let's check this out. So we'll just work our way through this whole blog then. So it starts off: to our community, we have been thrilled to see so many of you enjoying Marvel's Avengers, to watch you fall in love with Kamala Khan and the Resemble campaign, customise iconic superheroes your way, and discover new Warzone co-op strategies with your friends. It's all just simple enough. Marvel's Avengers launch was not without turbulence. It's good to see them actually accept that fact. That's part or step one of a problem, isn't it? Admitting you actually have a problem. But so they mentioned that, and then we recognise that a number of issues detracted from your enjoyment of the game. This does not align with Crystal Dynamics' value of craftsmanship, and for that we sincerely apologise. That's good to see. So often I see game companies come out with substandard products, and the one thing they don't seem to want to do is apologise, because apologising in some ways is almost accepting blame, but sometimes you have to accept blame. So it's good to see them apologise about that and say it's not in line with the actual way the company does work or how it normally operates. Now, moving on, over the past weeks, our team around the world has been heads down fixing bugs and tuning key gameplay systems, guided in part by your feedback. Since launch, we've released rapid updates to address these bugs, improve game stability and refine our matchmaking system. While our work has never done, these fixes and additions have made improvements to the overall player experience. And yeah, and I do agree, they have been putting out a decent amount of patches, and they seem to be taking in a decent amount of community feedback as well. So let's move on, see what's next. Next up here then, they state, we are committed to you and to making Marvel's Avengers the superhero game we all aspire it to be. Now, a few days ago on Reddit we actually had a pretty strong commitment from CD Phil that posts over there. I believe he's possibly the person in charge of the Warzones, but it's good to see that they're saying that they are committed to the game. So of course words don't really mean a great deal, you need to back it up, but the fact they are saying it, that is a step in the right direction here. So to move on, over the next weeks, months and year, that's nice to have said year there, we'll tell you new stories infused with Marvel DNA, debut fan favourite superheroes and supervillains, release new regions and gear, introduce fresh multiplayer game experiences under a new mega level threat umbrella. That sounds interesting. It says more on that below. Just this particular paragraph, do think it actually means a lot, the fact they've specifically said over the next weeks, months and year. So the fact it sounds like they're maybe committing to a year's worth of updates, that's really a pretty big thing, to be honest. Now, just to carry on anyway, we're on this journey together, building an exciting future as a team. This blog shares insights into the future of Marvel's Avengers, both in the short and long term. Next up, we have a section entitled Showing Our Appreciation. So this looks interesting. So as a sign of our appreciation for being with us from the start of the journey, beginning at 10 AM PDT, October the 22nd, players will receive a digital thank you bundle, which includes, so let's see, 1500 credits, enough for a legendary skin and nameplate from the marketplace. So that's decent, but I'll just mention here, when we're talking about skins and all the recolorings, we've talked about it on stream and so on, but all these recolorings just don't leave a great feeling at all when you buy one and then a better recoloring comes out the week after. So we were talking about solutions like maybe you either get the recolorings free, or if not free, you get them at a massive discount, or failing that, you actually have achievements, so you have to do in-game actual achievements to unlock the different colours. That was some ideas we did come up with on stream, so pretty interesting there. But you get units as well, so that's used with Chastity McBride to buy your costumes. I think 7,000 is enough potentially to buy one of the legendary ones. I'm not sure if there's 7,000 or 7,500. You get upgrade modules, 250 of them, which is a substantial amount. DNA keys, we get 20. I'd still like to see the DNA chest being buffed, to be honest. And a Sarah Garza inspired nameplate, because seriously, you're the best. That's awesome. I'll be rocking that in all my heroes. That's actually really good that they put that in there. The bundle will be available until 10 AM PDT on November the 5th, so it's around about 2-3 weeks you've got to claim that. But that is nice there. We've got the apology and we've got this as well to back up the apology in a way. Next up is future fan feedback driven features, and as I mentioned earlier on in the video, something that they are good at the moment is taking on feedback and actually implementing it. So let's dive in and read this out. So we can't say this enough, thank you for your feedback. We've already started implementing feedback driven features in the game. Examples in yesterday's patch include an increase in the radius of which rewards are automatically drawn to the player, and the ability to preview cosmetics from vendors prior to purchase. Paired with the release of Marvel's Avengers Shield Substation Zero, we've also added terminals and outposts to make accepting faction missions and assignments much quicker. We're actively working on new community-driven features for the coming months, including but not limited to. So let's see these. We've got the ping system. I'm not going to read out everything it actually says here, but we've got the ping system. I've seen that mentioned before. We've got the reassemble campaign replay. I think that is good because the campaign was a highlight for a lot of people. High contrast mode, not really sure about that one myself. Hero icon visibility, so let's just read that. An option to adjust the display of identifying icons above our superhero's head to be on by default or dynamic. That's interesting actually. That could be quite good because the number of times I've actually tried to aim and shoot Iron Man because he looks like one of the aimbots, kind of lost count the number of times I've tried to do that. We then have mission reward clarity, so let's read this. Improved clarity around mission specific rewards when viewed in the war table. This will allow players to more strategically take on missions to meet their current goals and seek out specific gear and resources. That's a good update, like that one. And then off-screen and ranged enemy attack indicators. Better feedback for players to avoid off-screen and ranged enemy attacks. They all sound pretty nice, to be honest. We have areas of impact next, so let's check this one out. So right now we are focusing on improving 4 key areas of the game. We would like to share some progress updates with you. So one of the key areas, first one they've listed, performance and stability. So not noticing that too much in PlayStation, but I think it's a big problem on PC. And PC numbers, I think the other day they went as low as round about concurrent players, something like 700 or something, which is pretty crazy, keeps dropping. But just to read this part out, in the past several weeks we've uncovered and corrected several systemic issues that were creating a number of game crashes or freezes. Through our metrics tracking, we've seen a significant decrease in these crashes week over week. However, on some PCs we are continuing to see a higher number of crashes than we'd like, especially those that are the result of GPU hangs and GPU driver crashes. We have a dedicated team tracking these as the highest priority fixes across all platforms, including bringing in external partners to help isolate any remaining issues to maximise our stability. That's a big thing, that it looks like they're actually bringing in other people to actually fix these issues. Sometimes when a game doesn't do as well, what happens is it gets scaled down and then from there it's just downhill. But it looks like they maybe had a discussion and they've said, right, we're going to actually try and really make a good try of this. We're not going to abandon it, we're just going to throw more into it and see if we can correct it. So that's good, and fingers crossed they can. That's really what, realistically, if you are a true Marvel fan, what you want to see. You want to see the game succeed. But moving on here, we are actively working with Nvidia on specific issues that some users have reported with performance degrading over time. The latest patch, they added Nvidia DLSS. I know from someone that plays on PC on the Discord that their frame rate went from something like 60 frames up to 90 using this. I'm not really aware what DLSS is because I'm an AMD guy myself, but that sounds pretty awesome, that. Now let's check out the next section anyway. The next heading here is multiplayer and matchmaking. So we've made some meaningful improvements to the multiplayer and matchmaking system since launch, including expanding power level matching speed so a broader range of diverse players can connect faster. I know, again, going back to PC once more, I think that was one of the real big issues, that matchmaking just didn't really work for the first couple of weeks on that platform. But let's see what else they say. So moving forward, our philosophy for multiplayer improvements is to rework the way we group players. The goal is to draw from a larger pool of online players and provide vaster ways to jump into desired content. This will help with quicker matchmaking so you can get to the fun faster. We're also exploring ways to better make use of the quick match feature with greater rewards for joining and to help others out. Stay tuned. That sounds really good. That's something they definitely need to address, so it's good to see that they're really focusing in on that. The next section we have here is rewards. This is something that I'm always harping on about because it would be nice to have new levels all the time, but it's not really too bad to run the same content if you get meaningful loot drops, at least in my opinion. So let's see what they're saying here. Hopefully this is a step in the right direction. So for rewards, we know how important meaningful rewards are to our fans. Our philosophy is that rewards should always feel worth the time you've invested to earn them. Definitely at the moment it doesn't feel that way at all. The upcoming AIM Cloning Lab will guarantee an exotic drop for the first completion per week and a notable chance of exotic drops for subsequent runs. Right, okay, that's pretty interesting. We can run it more than once a week and you've still got a notable chance, whatever that would be. Could see me running that quite a lot, to be honest. You should also feel that exotic drops are more unique to late gameplay. Tachyon and future AIM Cloning Lab missions draw from special reward pools. When you do get exotics from these late game activities, they'll also feel more significant with reworked attributes and perks. Awesome stuff. So it looks like late game content will be rewarding you more. It's not really time gated too badly, the cloning labs, which is fantastic, and it looks like they're going to make the rewards more meaningful as well. Absolutely awesome, love to hear that. So reward tuning will be an ongoing pursuit to ensure we hit the sweet spot with players, and we commit to transparency through patch notes when changes are made. This is something I'm always going on about as well, that if you're going to make a change, you're going to make a nerf, you need to be transparent about it, because you can probably provide a good rationale as to why you've actually done it. So far this reward section is probably the highlight for me. We have late game content next here. So launch was only the beginning for Marvel's Avengers. We have both refinements to existing content and sweeping additions coming that will introduce new mission types, characters, regions, and even higher global stakes. Now I can see the first one is mentioning the Mega Hive. We all know about that. That was recently patched in regards to the loot, so that you get your 2 guaranteed exotics at the end of it. Let's see what it says. We hear loud and clear that players want a multiplayer option for the Mega Hive, and that is something we're working towards in coming months. I'm really liking this blog so far. It really does look like they are listening. We've got Tachyon missions and Shield Substation up next. We've discussed that in the last 2 videos, so I'm not going to read this again, but we do know all about that. So this was mentioned earlier on in the blog and it got me intrigued. So let's see, Mega level threats. In the next few weeks we will introduce a new mission classification to Marvel's Avengers, a Mega level threats. Missions under the Mega level threat umbrella are multiplayer focused challenges that are tuned for high end players and offer special late game rewards. Skill and coordination with your team will be key to overcoming these missions. Includes the Avengers where they fight at the finale. What does that mean? Does that mean we're actually going to get a multiplayer raid version of the MODOK fight? Kind of sounds like that. Let's read that one more time there. So skill and coordination with your team will be key to overcoming these missions, including the Avengers Worthy fight at the finale. That sounds like we'll get a multiplayer version of that. Let me know if you think that's how it actually reads. That would be great if it's the case. But to continue on here, a Mega level threats are a first step towards even more exciting and challenging late game content. Many in our community have asked if a Mega level threat missions are Marvel's Avengers equivalent to raids. Through focused or though focused on multiplayer and designed to be extremely challenging, a Mega level threats represent our first step in escalating the challenge your superheroes face. As the Avengers initiative narrative continues to unfold, the stakes will get higher and the challenges harder. So that's definitely intriguing. We've then got an image of the cloning labs to go alongside this one. So the first Mega level threat is the AIM Cloning Lab, which requires advanced tactics and the full cooperation of a season's 4-player team to beat the high power level challenge. The lab culminates in a massive fight that is influenced by how you perform in a penultimate objective. How we're not going to spoil the surprises for you. If you've watched the channel, it's already been spoiled because I've got a message from someone on Twitter that managed to get into the cloning labs and complete it, but I'm not going to talk about it here just in case anyone hasn't seen that video and doesn't want any spoilers. The AIM Cloning Lab must be completed between 10 AM PDT Friday and 10 AM PDT Monday, so it's only open essentially at the weekends there, and it's 10 AM PDT, which for Europeans unfortunately that's going to be 6 o'clock at night. It's going to open up. It's a bit of a pity, that one. I would have liked to have seen it available all the time. Let me know what you think about that. That's probably the one negative we've come throughout the whole thing, which is good. We went 14 minutes and this is the only thing I don't really like. So while it can be replayed like other late game content, it has better rewards for first time completion. That's fair enough. Then move on to future Marvel's Avengers content. So moving forward, we intend to have a fixed, predictable patching cycle to ensure all new content meets both our and your high standards and is time for extensive internal testing. We know fans are hungry for new content, but delivering a fun experience is our priority. With this in mind, we've decided to push Kate Bishop's Operation launch back a bit, out of October. No. Oh, I cannot believe that. Cannot believe it. We're sorry for the slight delay, but we're dedicated as a team to quality first. That's really, really disappointing. Everything's been going so good with this blog. If they have to delay it, they have to delay it at the end of the day, but that's exceptionally disappointing to know that that's going to be 2 months since launch, if not longer, since we get our first hero. That's a real bummer. So let's see what else we've got on Kate's operation here. So Kate's new operation will be a must play for fans wanting to know what's next in the story. In Marvel's Avengers, Kate Bishop taking aim, Tachyon risks become a harbinger of a new threat. As players investigate the source of them, they will pick up on a story that begins shortly after the conclusion of the Reassemble campaign. Then comes Clint. We'll have more information on him later. I'm really hoping with Kate being actually delayed, they bring out Clint really soon after. We're talking a week or two at most. I really hope we don't have to wait an additional month for them. That will not be good at all. But let's just move on. So looking into 2021, our biggest Avengers Initiative edition yet will introduce a new hero, region and narrative arc. We're fairly certain that's going to be Black Panther. From everyone we've seen, that'll be the Wakandan region, of course. We've also made the decision to shift our PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X launch to next year. So that's interesting. It was going to be a launch game in November, to ensure that we give our team the time to deliver a next-gen experience showcasing all that this game is meant to be. More details to come. So the one thing, I suppose, if they're delaying it a bit on the next-gen consoles, it could look like they're trying to get the game in a really good place and have a good amount of available heroes. By the time it comes out next year on the next-gen consoles, I think we should be around about 9 heroes or so. We'll have a new region and hopefully new enemies to fight as well. So let's just continue. So until then, however, you'll be able to continue playing the current gen Marvel's Avengers game on next gen platforms to take advantage of their powerful hardware, be it via inserting a physical disc or re-downloading the game. Two of the most obvious benefits of this: improved frame rates and faster loading times. I suppose that's decent enough, and then a few months later we'll get the proper next gen version. In addition, players who make the jump to the PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series XS will still be able to play co-op with their friends in PlayStation 4 and Xbox One respectively, as well as carry their existing save games. I would hope that was always going to be the case forward onto next gen consoles. One thing I really want to see is crossplay. I don't think they're going to address it here, but just thinking of that with this section we're reading out. All that above will be available to players at no additional cost, including the next gen upgrades for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. As mega Marvel fans ourselves, we can't wait to reveal more about the iconic superheroes, supervillains and settings on the roster these coming months, starting with our next Marvel's Avengers War Table. So that's coming in November actually. Still a fair bit away though. We are excited to share the future of Marvel's Avengers with you. So this last page here, I'm actually not going to read it out because I did read it out live essentially, and then I got halfway through it and I got bored reading it out. So I'll leave it to you to read it out. It's just a message from the studio head, Scott Amos. But just to run over everything we had there. So we had the apology and compensation. It's good to see them actually take accountability for the fact the launch was a complete mess. There is talk of support. I do notice, going back to it now, that they talked about weeks, months, and then they said year rather than years. Don't know if I'm reading too much into that, but we've at least got support for another year, so that is something. They talked about all the fan feedback features they'll be looking to implement, and that's something they have done really well on already. And then you had the 4 main priorities they had, which was performance, matchmaking, rewards, and late game content. They're all really important, and again, I'll keep going on about it, but rewards is really important for me, so it's great to see that addressed. We then had the delay to Kate. That is massively disappointing, and I'm sure it's just going to spur in all the people that are spamming YouTube videos saying you still play this game and this game is dead and so on. So it's really disappointing to see that, but if it had to be done, then it had to be done. And then you've got the delay to next gen. For me, that's not really that big of an issue, and I think, to be honest, it maybe even makes sense. It means if they can fix all these issues, get a decent amount of content in the game, and then re-release it in a way, maybe even rebrand it and get it reviewed. That's what Marvel Heroes actually done when they called it Marvel Heroes 2016, 2017 Marvel Heroes Omega actually meant they could get re-reviewed again, so maybe if they do something like that and rename it, it could be worthwhile doing that. But there was a fair amount to cover there. I didn't mean this video to go on for as long as it has, so if you've made it to the end, I do appreciate it. But let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. As always, I've started streaming on Twitch. There'll be a link in the description below if you want to jump on and check me out there. But thanks for tuning in for this. Stay safe. I'll see you all again soon.